When your old career gives you lemons, throw in some ice, mix in some vodka, and call it a podcast. From the Mac of All Trades studio in Fairport, and driven by Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, it's Billified, the Bill Moran Podcast.
Well, hello and welcome. Thanks for getting your pod on. Thanks for telling a friend. That's how we spread the word about the pirate ship. You can like us on YouTube. Follow our YouTube page, Billified. We're streaming there now. You can find us on Facebook, Billified, Billified_pod on Instagram. It's all right there for you.
Right here, baby. It's all right here.
Me and Dougie Fresh tonight.
In the house, a dynamic duo from Gotham City, brothers and sisters. Lock the doors, send the kids to the neighbors. We started drinking early, brother.
Yeah, it's a good thing because usually days like today are a little bit tough for me. And I say that because, this will sound, I hope it doesn't sound shitty to you when I say it, but I don't know that you can really relate to it because I don't know that anybody can relate to anything unless they've experienced something like that, you know, and I don't mean that. So I had to drop my 13-year-old off at the airport. And sometimes I got to tell you, when I spend time with him, I feel more like an uncle than I do necessarily a dad. And just only because you have a finite amount of time that he's here, and then he goes back to his mom, which is out of state. And it's something that I had to agree to. And so you're less about the rules. You try to coach them up a little bit, but you're not necessarily being tough. So even like last night at 10:30, we went and got snacks at 7-Eleven. I would never go on a Monday night at 10:30 to 7-Eleven to buy cheese puffs.
But you don't want to be the bad guy. You want to have fun. You want to be.
I was trying to be cool and all that stuff. And it's just the stuff that I would normally never do. And and he's a wise young kid. Like, he catches everything. He's very on top of stuff. But so I took him to the airport this morning, and he was flying out at like 11:35. And I waited. I watched the plane get up in the air, and I could feel like a little rumble in my stomach. I'm like, I should probably use the bathroom. Nah, I'm fine. I'm all right.
I thought you were going to say you felt a little, your heart dropped a little bit when you saw his plane. No, you got to use the bathroom.
My heart didn't.
I better get home really quick because I don't want to. I don't want to go into Delta. If this is disgusting, I don't want to hear this.
So wait, so I'm thinking, like, because the night before I was talking to him and I started to get a little emotional, and I would normally not I don't think any of the boys had ever really seen me cry. Mm-hmm. As I've gotten older, in certain situations, I certainly have been more emotional with some people than I have ever been in my life. But that is nothing. So last night,
don't tell your friends I couldn't get it up, please.
Yeah, exactly. How did you know? You've been there? No. So he. So then at one point we're talking, and he didn't notice for a while. And then he looks at me and goes, "Are you crying?" And I go, I get a little upset about it. He goes, "Yeah, I know what you mean." And so that was all right. But here's the thing. I'm leaving the airport, and I go, ooh, I'm on the side of the city in Henrietta area that has BJ's with the really cheap gas.
Yes.
So I roll up to BJ's where it's
J. Scuddy Boulevard.
Yeah, it's $3.07. And I go, hey. And hang on a second, the police chief is walking in here.
It's a Gestapo.
What's going on, Chief?
Are we live on air?
Yeah, we're live.
I like it.
Yeah, have a seat.
You don't have a warrant out for me.
What's
tonight, man?
Well,
we're talking about.
I was just talking about dropping my kid off at the airport before, because he was going back to his mom for the holidays. Right. So wait a second. So what is happening here? What are you not? You're out of uniform. You're casual.
From a board meeting.
Well, who is this? Introduce him. I don't know.
This is the police chief, Matt Barnes of Fairport. Police chief of Fairport.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you
what
for
are we
all
talking
your...
about?
So I was just talking about driving over, and then I saw.
He was talking about BJ's.
But let me ask you this, because you're a police. I was talking about BJ's, but not that kind of BJ's. So while I'm in, there's a line at this BJ's gas station in Henrietta because it's $3.07. And I decide, fuck it, I'll wait in the line. And all of a sudden, I see a car trying to wedge into one of the lines. And then the woman pops out of the car. She picks up a giant traffic cone and drops it in front of the car in front of her. And she starts screaming, "You're not getting in this line. You're not cutting me in this line." Now, she seems to be cutting this guy. So now I'm intrigued. I'm watching this. This guy gets out, and he's got a very thick Indian accent. And he starts saying to her, "You don't want to act this way. You don't want to be like this." And he picks up the cone and puts it. She's screaming, "You motherfucker." And I'm going, do people lose their minds more at this time of year than any other time of year? Or is this all the time that you guys are dealing with this kind of shit? Because this could have escalated very easily. Like, just last night, we played a video of a road rage case, and I think it was in Texas, where all of a sudden some guy said, "Yeah, I saw this car speed up, and one car throws an iced tea at it, the other guy throws a big gulp." So I whipped out my camera, and you see a sedan take an SUV up and over a cement barrier, and then they're out, like, swinging at each other. And I go, I don't know.
Society is a lot different, obviously, now than it was even 10 years ago, let alone 20 years ago. But
yeah.
I think people are. I had an old town construction guy who used to help me. He dug my pond for me years ago, and he said, "There's nothing funnier in life than people," and I believe that. People are just humorous. So of all ages and makes and models.
But it just seems to get. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing it more now.
They want it right here, right now. They can get it on their phone. They can microwave it. I want it right now, and if I don't get it right now, I'm blowing a gasket.
I'm in Walmart over Thanksgiving week. Right? It's like Black Friday or something, or maybe Saturday. My son wants to play basketball. We're going to go over there, just pick up a basketball. It's going to be one of these throwaway $5 basketballs that you can get so you can shoot some hoops. And we're in there, and all of a sudden we hear, "You're a fucking potato, suck!" This lady's losing her fucking mind over the potatoes. She's screaming. They're chasing her out of the store, and she's fucking losing her shit over
in Walmart.
In Walmart. And I go, what is happening?
Older, younger?
Probably in her 40s. And I go, this is what you have to deal with on a daily basis, and keep that smile on that face right there.
Or
just keep that smile, Mr. Barnes.
Or she's leaving out this exit, screaming and yelling, and all the attention's on her, and her two friends are out the other exit.
It could be
with a bag of something they shouldn't have been taking. That's an old one too.
All right, that could be. I don't know. I just saw like all the employees followed her out. There was like all this wall of people.
They need their
they're escorting her out.
Some people need their 15 minutes of fame. They need some release. They're just yelling at the world. They have nobody to yell at. So and I'm letting it go right now.
My kid goes, I got to go film her. I go, don't. She's having a bad day. Leave her be. Don't do this. Then he's like, later on, he goes, you got to see some of these people in Walmart. There's a lady on a cart, right? Those shopping carts that
the rascals.
One of the security guards is driving it. Her hands are handcuffed behind her, and she's screaming, "This isn't American!" And I go, "What the fuck is happening? Seriously, what is happening?"
What is it, general topic tonight? Is that what the topic of the show is?
Well, you came in.
I didn't mean to
There were
interrupt
lots
the
of things
show.
going
Sorry.
on. I just figured since you sat down, I'd ask you.
Yeah.
Are we still going to do a?
Yes, we are.
All right.
Yep, first taping is going to be December 15th.
Okay.
When it airs is however long it takes you and I to edit that
All
bad
right.
boy.
We'll get it all edited up.
What are we doing?
Yeah, we appreciate
what are you doing?
that.
He wants to do a podcast about Fairport. I got to get you on a camera.
Yeah.
Here. Let me see if I can get you over here. There.
I don't need to be on camera.
There you are.
That's
There he
fine.
is.
I'm
at that.
perfectly good outside the camera.
They hide the faces, so they
No,
they're
everybody
undercover.
knows him.
Right. No, they do not know me.
Everybody knows Matt Barnes.
No,
they
sir.
all love him, and they love the
Yeah.
Barnes brothers.
Yeah.
Law enforcement. How did two brothers end up in law enforcement?
I was in the service.
Yeah.
And I came home
What
here to
service?
the Army.
Army.
And my brother was a cop, and I did a ride along with him.
Okay.
And
Where
that's
was he an officer?
In
Here?
the city.
In
RPD.
RPD.
And
Okay.
I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I knew I was getting out of the service and going to school. And so I started going to school and then ended up taking the RPD exam, ended up getting hired by RPD. And then we both ended up coming out here. He left last October.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm far behind, but we'll see.
Oh, come on.
We'll see. We'll see how long I want to do this for.
All right.
So I think I'm in my 20. How's my math? 20. I think I'm in my 26th year now.
Yeah, it's a long time to be in that kind of
young man's game.
Yes, it is.
Well, it's just I would just think that after a while, can't you retire after 20 years?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think there's a reason why.
There probably is a reason.
Well,
they
not
offer
only
cops
just that
that
somebody can put up with that much shit for that long and see that. I mean, most of the stuff you're dealing with is people at their lowest moment in life.
So it's funny. Years ago, I was working 3rd Platoon. I bet you this is 10, 12 years ago. There was a lady here locally, and it's a nice summer night. We went to her call, and she goes, "You guys always go somewhere where there's something that went wrong. I said, yeah. I said, why else would people call 911? I said, no one's ever called
Bring
us.
ice.
Yeah, no one's.
Hey, I'm
No
too
one's
drunk
ever
to
called
drive,
us.
dude. Can you come by the 7-Eleven, get a bag of ice and a 30-pack? Dude, we'll tip you.
And she found that amazing. And I go, ma'am, people don't call us to tell us they're having a good night.
Right.
I said,
Hey, just checking in.
Yeah.
Great night tonight. Thanks so much.
So like a year went by. That was in the summer, nice night. A year went by. That next summer, just happened to be working that night too. And we get a 911 call shortly there after dinner. And over the air, the dispatcher said, such and such from such and such address called and just wanted to wish you a happy night. And that she had food for you.
How sweet is this?
And over the air, I said, okay, roger that, and blah, blah, blah. So we responded to the same house. And she goes, you said you had never been to a 911 call. That someone called you for anything good. So she bought us dinosaur barbecue.
Wow.
That's really sweet, but you
her and
should
her
call
husband-
911.
Her and her husband called 911
Oh, my God.
to give us dinosaur barbecue.
That's nice.
Myself, my partner ate at her picnic table, and we ate dinosaur barbecue.
That's really nice.
So I guess that's the only time I've ever been called to,
Yeah.
Something went good.
That's
so.
very, very sweet. Yeah. How
About
many years has it been here in Fairport for you?
Over 20 now.
Over 20 in Fairport.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Doug was, and I always find this a bit of a mystery. No. The horn that went off.
Yeah.
The horn that went off. And I go, it's so funny because as soon as it went off, I go, hey, lassie, a boy fell in the canal. But that was what alerted people to an emergency.
It did,
in town.
yeah.
They haven't gotten rid of it.
They haven't. It's
And it
almost
goes on-
tradition at this point.
It's
And it's
tradition.
loud.
It's loud.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
it is
it's
loud.
weird.
What the hell is that? I thought it was a car alarm
No.
or something.
And actually, there was an ex-board member here named Don Ferraro. I don't know if you remember him or not. He served on our village board for a long time. He was a city fireman. He was a Rochester city fireman.
Yeah.
He passed several years ago. But he was the one that kept this siren alive. And the siren's on top of the village hall, as obviously you've heard. But the huge air tanks that power that siren are right here in this garage, right across from your studio.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, and the air tanks are probably 8 or 9 feet long by, 4 feet in diameter, and there's 2 of them. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, they sit in that garage.
And then how does it go off? Is it electronic somewhere?
There is electronic, but
Somewhere.
it is an air horn. There's
Yeah.
still air.
Who
that distributes.
decides that it's going to go off?
So the 911 center activates that alarm by dispatching the fire services.
Okay.
And that's it every time.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
Volunteer fire department.
It is, yeah.
Oh, that was the original reason, right?
Yes.
So you knew that people would go and do that sort of thing.
I think
Stop
tonight-
humping your wife. There's a fire. I'll get there. Don't worry about it. Bob's right
I
across
don't
the
know if I
street.
should
We're
be-
good on this.
I don't know if I should be on this podcast.
What are you talking
Number one
about?
podcast of all
You
Ra Cha
love
Cha.
it. You would love this
I think
podcast.
there's right now currently 70 MVAs, motor vehicle accidents, waiting to be responded to tonight because
What?
of the roads.
Oh, really?
7-0, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that included parts of the west side of the county.
Do
so
we think that it happens the first snow every year?
It does. Sure
Why
seems like
is
it.
that? Do
I
we
have no
forget
idea.
how to drive? Is it that
People
it was
still-
I have no
actually
idea.
slicker than we thought?
I'll tell
No
you,
idea.
people are still driving like idiots.
Yeah.
There's no courtesy.
Doug
on the
drives
road.
for Uber.
I drive for Uber. I
Oh, do you
drove
really?
about
Okay, gotcha.
7 hours a day, and just go slower. Expected to be slippery. It was slippery coming on 490,
Yeah.
590, but I try to keep a good 50 to 100 feet back. Brake a little earlier. Put your turn signal on. There's people that aren't putting their lights on. I said this earlier. They're not using their turn signals.
Yeah.
Just gotta go a little slower. And if you're walking a dog, and this happened in Irondequoit, and this is a white woman. She dressed all in black. Her little dog, I barely saw her. Put on a white T-shirt. Put on some, go to the
Something.
dollar store. Get some flashers. Just have some common sense, for crying out loud.
You live in Irondequoit?
No, I live down in Charlotte.
Okay. You live in Charlotte now?
Yeah.
Why?
Because that's where I
Just wondering.
I had a place to rent.
You're here in Fairport, right?
I
You're
do.
doing a podcast in
Yeah.
Fairport. Fairport's probably the best town in Rochester. Would you agree? In metropolitan Rochester?
Well, it's
Well, nothing. There's really no discussion.
Well, since
But
you cornered me and I have to drive home tonight, you already got my license plate number. I gotta wait till you're retired to change my answer. What do you?
Is that where you were born and raised in
what do
Charlotte?
You have 911 out here for what? A paper cut? She doesn't have a Band-Aid, for crying out loud.
You know what else he did?
It's a very nice town. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it
I
is.
wish we could do some things in Charlotte. I think you have the Festival of Lights out here too.
I think it's probably a festival.
Yeah,
It seems
or at
like
least
every
you're a
other
little
weekend's
more
a festival.
lit up.
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
aren't going to be jackasses and jump up and
Yeah.
rip this shit down.
Yeah.
I mean, that builds up a community. You
Yep.
feel safer. You know your neighbor. You talk to your neighbor. I drive people home in the summer. Thurston, Hudson, Clifford, Clinton. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing this summer? Nothing. What do you mean nothing? I'm staying in. I know my neighbors. They're out on bikes. They're loud all night. That's not nice. She goes, no, it's just the way it is. There's no changing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
awful.
I feel awful. I was hoping this new mayor would do something, but I've seen him plant a tree and open a library. That's about it. I haven't seen him on the news doing too much more.
No, I know.
You know, we're still getting cars being theft. I don't see him in the community. You know, what can I do to,
I don't know.
you know?
Yep. You need somebody who's out there walking.
I think so.
Yeah. There was a guy that I really liked that I thought was pretty good, and then he made a terrible mistake. But he knew the city, and he knew people. And he said to me, in 20 years, this city's going to have a problem because the kids are being raised by grandparents, and they're going to die off.
Yes.
And he goes, you're going to see shit fall apart. And that was Adam McFadden. And Adam McFadden did something that a lot of people, but I'll tell you what, man, he wasn't, I'll never forget when there was this whole thing and Lovely Warren was running for mayor.
Oh.
Yeah. And she was coming in, and there was something that had happened in the news where officer had, all you saw was kind of smacked a woman upside the back of her head, had her up against guard and smacked her upside the back of the head. And that was getting all this stuff. And I go, man, I feel like there's more to this. And Adam heard me, and he goes, I have other video from another angle. And you see the woman reach back. You don't know if she's reaching for the guy's gun or he's reaching for his balls, but he just kind of, just quick, right? But that became the news, that it was a white officer, a black woman, and that was the thing. But it was Adam McFadden who came and goes, hold on here. Let's look at this for what it is. And I always thought, and he knew, man, he knew the good guys, the bad guys, the drug, he knew everything in that city. He used to walk the streets. I mean, I remember when that woman went out to defend her kid on Dewey and wound up dead. Just got beat up by a bunch of, and he went and talked to all the people in the neighborhood. Some people were afraid to say anything, of course.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But he was the kind of guy, because I used to say, man, you should be mayor, somebody who's going to kind of get in the trenches. And I know nothing about the job,
you've
so I
got to
don't
be
know.
willing to do
But
that.
we don't see that. Real quick, speaking of trenches, he did the Baja races down in Mexico.
What are the Baja?
You got it.
Over
Him
the
and Sheriff
Deans
Baxter.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I actually just came back from Baja last week.
You did.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, I got a call from a team out there that I know, and it was on like a Tuesday night, like at midnight, and he actually called me. I ignored the call, then he texted me, call me ASAP, so figured something was wrong with one of his loved ones, so I called him and said, what's up? And he goes, hey, one of our guys just broke his ribs today, and he can't get in the truck. He goes, do you want to fly out here and do the 1,000? And I'm like, isn't that like next week? And he goes, yeah. And I said, when do I have to be there by? And he said, Thursday morning. And he goes, the truck's leaving at 4 a.m.
Wait, that's like Thanksgiving morning?
I go, that's 24 hours from now. I go, I got a job. And he goes, if you can make it, he goes, you can be in Trophy Truck 86. And I'm like, let me call you in the morning. So I got the time off, bought a flight, flew out there, and then I was heading to Baja within 24 hours.
This is over the desert and the bumps and everything?
Yeah.
So you did this?
Just got back. I had a chance to go with a team from Tucson, Arizona, and San Diego, California. And
damn,
yeah, it was in a trophy truck, and we had everything. I mean, everything you can think of. We had a helicopter, we had 4 pre-runners, we had 4 chase trucks, we had everything. We had Starlink capabilities, everything.
Yeah.
So pretty wild.
How'd you do?
So myself and my partner did race mile 200 to race mile 600.
Yeah,
and basically,
so it's like almost like a. So another team takes over.
Yeah. So this year's Baja 1000 was the longest Baja 1000 ever. It was 1,310 miles or whatever. And they started in a town called La Paz.
Yeah.
And they went north to a town called Ensenada.
Ensenada? Yeah. I hear that's a lot like Fairport.
Yeah. Just south of Tijuana. The world's most dangerous city.
Tijuana's more like Charlotte.
You know how many homicides are in Tijuana in 1 year's time?
No.
I think like a couple years ago, there's 2,700.
Whoa. In a year?
I think it's the world's most dangerous city.
What are we complaining about around here? What's going on?
I know I'm not vacationing no Tijuana.
Yeah. No, that's just south of the border. So
wow.
But yeah, so we went down into Mexico and had a good time. Just long days, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're going 600 miles.
We did. We went 400 on my section.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
400.
The truck owner took it from, the start up through a place called the Steps out of La Paz and gave it to us in a town called Insurgentes.
Okay.
And then we took it from Insurgentes to a town called Vizcaíno, just south of, there's 2 states in Baja, Baja Norte and Baja Sur.
Yeah.
So basically Baja North and Baja South. we drove in the Baja South portion. So it'd be like the Mason-Dixon line. Right?
Okay.
So we drove down south. But good time, rough, just good opportunity. But, yeah. So Baxter and I were together today, and we were talking about, maybe next year. So we'll see. We got to get sponsors. That's the big thing. That race is not cheap, and it's a year in the making. So you have to start sometime in January to be prepared by November, and there's so much more to it than just money. But, yeah, it takes money too. So, see if we can get some sponsors.
But the fact that you stood out to somebody, that they would call you.
Because I'm stupid enough to say yes.
Is that what it is?
Not because of great talent.
Not that he's a great driver or anything. He brings the airbags. He's got time off.
To say yes on short notice.
That's funny.
But yeah, good time. So that's what we just got done doing.
Very good.
What else are we discussing? Or are we out of time?
No, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll come back. You want to hang?
I'm probably going to go home and eat dinner.
All right. Well,
we'll see.
All right.
It's good seeing you guys.
Nice
Sorry for crashing the party.
No, you are the party. You kidding me?
You are. You're the chief of police of Fairport, Matt Barnes. Come on. That's awesome.
Fantastic to meet you, and thank you for your service.
Seriously, when are you moving?
Out
here?
here.
Off the air now?
You got a place in your basement?
Are you off the air?
No.
No.
Still
not
not
yet.
off the air. We're
Hang
still
on.
live?
Yeah,
Put your gun and handcuffs away. I shouldn't say I'm joking.
Doug fell in love over Thanksgiving. On Thanksgiving. Yeah, we'll get to that next.
Yes.
But first.
Did you...